Yeah. She's well.
That was the document. Now,
You
no worries. The most knowledgeable and have the education.
I would love to go over to.
Oh, yeah.
What we do it at my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, you speak with one voice on it.
There you guys should know what's going on. However you want to do it. I guess for. That's good. First, is this the first one?
Yeah.
I got a meeting in the library, but I'm. No, we're not. Third Tuesday.
Or the members. Yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah.
That'll work.
You have more chairs.
Yeah, they're gonna take two out of my office.
Okay.
Wow, look at the crowd.
Awesome.
They all came for us.
Maybe one of them. Maybe.
Let's see how fast they can clear the room.
It's just like they are. He's pretty much fine, and I wanted to see Jerry.
Excited to both my neighbors. Orange berries.
I think you should pull out lawn chairs, things like this. The good thing is, the porta potties are gonna be across the river. Not.
I'm fine. Put them on whenever you're ready.
One of them blew up.
All right, go ahead.
Oh,
Okay, I'm showing 6 o'clock, so I'm gonna call this meeting to order. It is the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Georgetown, February 13th, 2024. It is 6 p.m. Let's go ahead and start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call is next. I am Lynette Kelsey, police judge. Rob Connell.
Here.
John Jennings.
Here.
Wayne Gazinski.
Here.
Mary Smith. Here. Rich Barrows.
Here.
Next we have agenda approval, and Jerry's gonna run down the amendments to the agenda.
If I could ask that you add an executive session, well, I have to read it now, because you need to cite that executive session under 246424 E and F. With town attorney, town administrator, appropriate staff to receive legal advice, instruct negotiators concerning pending litigation, capital price mines, and from a personnel matter, acting marshal, Don Gaskins. And in addition to that, if you can add, I ask that you add a new item number 8 as a discussion item. I think the board's has some materials, next step for the police department. So a proper motion would be to approve the agenda as proposed to be amended.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. Anyone else have anything else?
No.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Marvelous. Motion passed. Audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest related to the business of the town that is not already on the agenda. Do we have anyone here for audience business? Doesn't look like we have any in the audience. Do we have any
I
online?
have one person on his line, who's Jake Cooper. Jake, do you have anything for audience business? Pipe into the chat? No. Okay.
Okay, marvelous. Seeing none, we move on. Next, we have the payables. They are dated from January 18th through February 8th, 2024. Any questions or comments on the payables?
I'll make a motion to approve the payments dated January 19th, through February, well, it says 19.
Okay. The payables in the packet say 19. Is that the correct date, Mary?
I need to see a calendar.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the 19th.
19. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve those payments.
Second.
I'll second.
okay. Been moved and seconded to approve the payables from January 19th through February 8th, 2024. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes. The first one is from our regular meeting on January 23rd. And I already gave a correction to Jennifer just to add the adjournment, was at 9:20 after we got out of, executive session. Anybody have anything else?
It was just a couple of typos. Can you take my word for it?
Okay.
We'll just amend
Yeah.
with simple
Okay.
little corrections.
Can you approve both with amended corrections?
Yeah.
Well,
Is that okay?
we're only approving the regular minutes right now. And we'll approve the special minutes separately, just.
The proper motion to approve the regular scheduled meeting minutes for January 23rd with the corrections as noted. So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have the minutes from the special meeting, which was on February 2nd. Any corrections to those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the special meeting minutes on February 2nd, 2024.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the special meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, first on our, this, new and unfinished business agenda item is the Board of Selectmen appointment for the vacancy in Ward 1. And I am so pleased, we had 4 applicants. So, let's go ahead and start off with, each of you in turn. So let's start with Carolyn. But she was first with her application. So do you want to just introduce yourself?
I'm Carol Basselt. I've been in Georgetown for 15 years. We started as weekend people and got here, stayed here during COVID and just kept staying on and on. And it's worked out really well for us. Come to love this town and being part of it and volunteering for things, and it'd be fun to know more about what's going on here and contribute more.
I'll add that she's quite active in Rotary and volunteers for everything.
Endorsements in the press. So,
Which said that you approved this.
so anybody have any questions for Caroline? Okay, next we'll move on to Amanda Cooper, who also applied.
Hi, my name is Amanda Cooper. I live at 409 3rd Street. I've been a Georgetown resident for 8 years. I am a small business owner and I have been serving on the Georgetown Business Promotions Commission for about 6 years. And I also serve as the president of the board of directors for Georgetown Community School and was previously the treasurer. I love Georgetown and I think that this would be an amazing opportunity to support my community and help provide infrastructure and insight from the perspective of a small business owner and someone who's raising a young family here.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Amanda? Okay. Next, we have Mitch Trevette.
Hi,
Hi there.
I'm Mitch Tribbett, I live at Second and Argentine, and my family's been in Georgetown for only a year and a half now. So I do not have the resume as my other applicants do. But I love the town. We're from Colorado. I really want to get involved and help the town become what I know it can be. And so I don't know, maybe there's room for a fresh set of eyes.
So I can also attest to his willingness to jump in. He no sooner moved here than he was an entrant in the fire and ice chili cook-off. It was delicious.
He's also been a guest, host at trivia, so.
Good. Okay, and the fourth candidate is Diane Anderson.
Diane Anderson. I live at 401 4th Street. I am retired and, let's see, I moved to Georgetown in the middle 70s, lived here in the 70s, 80s and 90s. And left because I got divorced. And then I just moved back here in 2020. So when I got back here, I was all happy because I always wanted to live here. Okay, so I'm really, because I love it here. And I'm back here and I'm all happy now. And like I said, I'm retired. I don't really do anything. And been on the board in the 80s. And back when Jerry Buckley was the police judge, one. That's all I have. I love Georgetown. I've been on the board before. I know what it's all about, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. I didn't ask, did anyone have any questions for Mitch or Diane?
No.
Okay. All right, well,
One of the things I'd like to point out that wasn't necessarily in our application, but under the affirmation that you guys all took a look at, one of the procedural changes that we made with the Board of Selectmen last late summer, early fall, was attending meetings in person, and that there's a limited opportunity of how many Zoom meetings you could tune in on. And so is that an issue for any of the candidates?
you're actually, the limit is 4 in a calendar year, so without special approval from the board, so.
Well, for us, it's only 14 months. So it would be expected that we would probably want to be here for most of that time, because it's such a short period of time.
Well, our expectations sometimes don't always prove to be out there, so just wanted to make sure that that was clear, because that has been an issue that we have, as a board, have found to be important, to be available in board meetings and to be available to the opportunity to meet with your constituents, if so, asked. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone, okay, I don't know everybody's schedule, just throwing it out. Be like you here.
I guess I have a question for all four of you. What do you see as the biggest issue, especially since you're representing the historical district in Georgetown?
Sure, that's a good question.
You want to start, Carolyn?
Sure, as you, I would say probably affordable housing, to support, so we can grow this town. That would be the start in terms of infrastructure, so that we can continue to grow and have affordable housing for families and people moving in.
Wait a minute, I'll stand so because I feel like I'm just really short. Everybody. I think that, if you look at the historical district right now, it's such an iconic piece of our town's, draw, but we do have an economic crisis in this area. And I think that we owe it to the existing residents as well as future residents and visitors to really enhance that experience with the preservation of this area, but being able to put people into these spaces that can make it, that have viability through mentorship, through the opportunities within our tax breaks and the things that we can provide to help fledgling business owners get off the ground, that will ultimately translate to sales tax revenue that helps the overall, flow of the town. And as I look at what's happening in the historic district right now, it's such a special place, and I want to see that continue in a positive way.
Okay, thanks. Mitch, do you want to go next?
Sure. Since we've been here, I've seen a real sort of clash between preserving the historic district exactly as it is and also moving maybe a little bit away from that. And I think I love history. I think it's vital that we preserve the historic district, but at the same time, it doesn't do much good if nobody can live here. So I've seen families that want to live here, that want to be here, but can't because there's no affordable housing or there's no housing. It doesn't even have to be affordable. And so unless we can attract more people, full-time residents, and then, that will feed into the economy, which will sort of enable everything else.
Thank you. Diane, any comments?
When I first moved here, there was, well, at least for me, there was like no communication between the government, everybody, and the citizens. And so I would really I had pursued that, and so now I'm on Jen's email list, and I would like it to be, I would like more citizen input and more communication with all the other people that don't seem to be interested, and I would like that to be an issue for the board to say, let's do something to get some more input and some more help from the community. Not help's not the right word, but feedback from the community, interest in our community. It's like there's nothing. I feel there's nothing, that all those people don't even care, don't even know. That's all. That's my one motion.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that so many of you have an interest, and it was important for us to get a little bit of your voice tonight. So thank you for throwing your hat in the ring.
Anybody else? Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion to nominate, to approve?
You can only pick one, Rob. You look like you were getting ready to throw something out.
You're all my people. How can I just pick one?
I'll move to appoint Amanda Cooper to be selectman for Ward 1 until the next regular election is held April 7th, 2025.
I'll second that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to appoint Amanda Cooper in the vacant position. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. And thank you to all of you who also, yes. I don't know, what do I do now? Well.
Wait till you hear this morning.
Are you prepared to swear?
Yeah.
Let me go run down and grab that.
Okay,
I totally.
if you're prepared to come join us at the table, she can swear you in. Just give her a moment. Thank you. Okay. Please.
I think you have to go sit next to me, at least for tonight, at least for tonight.
I don't like seeing people.
No, it was great. Thanks, Carol.
I'm very honored.
So because you own a restaurant, maybe.
I'll make a motion to have our meetings over there from now on.
At 5:30 for half.
That's all right, when my first meeting, they, appointed me, Rob promised me a car. I haven't seen that yet.
It's around there somewhere.
Did you look under the table? right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a hot minute. Yes, Jen gave me a packet. I'll just sit quietly until everyone's. I don't want to hold up the meeting, so.
You have to use one. Bible? You can join them in the Bible. I'm sure.
No.
We don't do it like a. No, doesn't happen often.
Actual sworn.
It's swear.
That is not.
Sad but true, sad but true.
Well, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Hey, you are.
Hi.
Okay. So if you want to raise your right hand
Okay.
and repeat after me. I
Hi,
state your name.
Amanda Cooper.
You can just read it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I, Amanda Cooper, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that I will support and enforce the constitutions and laws of the United States of America and of the state of Colorado and the charter and ordinances of the town of Georgetown, and shall faithfully perform to the best of my abilities the duties of Board of Selectmen upon which I am about to enter. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, item number 2 on our agenda is Ryan Zabel, our Public Works Supervisor, with a proposal from Mountain Peak Controls for upgrading the SCADA systems.
See, that's so far in the corner back.
Yeah.
What we are proposing is the SCADA and the computer system hasn't been upgraded since 2011. I'm still running on some Windows 7, Windows 6, different things, no security, different things like that. So just the way everything has been moving in the technology world, I think that even just the other day we had an email that I opened that put me down for a little bit, but so it just shows that there is a use for it, especially in the industry for the wireless one. Most of this stuff is all pre 2011 that we just kind of reused, and then the water plant would be anything probably like 12 and 13. So anything, all of it's 11 years older. So if I can get 10 years out of a system or SCADA, I think we did pretty good in the industry. What this was we got a quote for $50-some thousand per each place. So 50 for the wastewater, 50 for the water. So me and Mary put in the budget for 53,000, and Mountain Peaks came in, they do most of all our IT tech, and said that we could do it for less than that. That was through Rexall. That was a different bid, different company, and Mountain Peaks, who pretty much do most of our stuff, came in after the budget and said, we can do both for 73. And so I was like, maybe that's an opportunity to do both at this point in time, even though we didn't budget it. So me and Mary kind of looked back and we found some supplemental money that we can get to cover that difference. I think it's a savings in the long run than to do one now this year, one next year. And so that's kind of where we're at with. Questions? Yes.
Can you see the plans from your phone remotely?
But it's not cryptic, so that's another thing that's
Like,
not.
because if you could, could it possibly be put in the quote that you guys
So
can
where
give
it's
us
going to,
handle alarms?
it's going to be, all that's going to be encrypted, security and different things like that, where we really don't have anything that's heavily for cybersecurity for.
Oh, that's where you're going with this, cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity and upgrades of the equipment, so it's all brand new, getting up to Windows 13 or whatever we're at now.
Just figured while they're here.
Yeah, and the security and different things like that, also. Hopefully for another 10 years, but most of our stuff isn't even supported anymore. And so anytime I have issues, they don't even support it anymore because it's so old and outdated. And this will get us into that new, that new range.
You should see the NCC, the wastewater plant, you know. The Smithsonian,
I can imagine.
So does this include any upgrades for a period of time? You know, like for the next 2 years or whatever, you know, will it?
Where you get automatic updates and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess my question, are they gonna provide training for you guys too? Sometimes.
Oh,
With
we're
the new
going to
stuff?
go hand in hand with the entire thing. Mountain Peaks has been with us for years. They kind of were the company that started both the water and wastewater. We used to be TLCC. I see some tags on some old equipment that we don't use anymore. Mountain Peaks took over for that. And so it's kind of just where I'm at with. And the thing is, like, the biggest thing is I haven't had an issue yet. And this is the time to make those changes before it becomes something, you know, emergent, you know, yes, exactly. And so that's one of the big pushes that this would be a good time to do this.
So how soon would they be able to come in and install the workstation and whoever you're designating to be up to speed so that it's live and we're protected and we're.
They would start, I think, April. They were talking about getting in late March and starting in April. Probably about a 3-month transition
Okay.
where they're downloading some programs onto the new program. And so this isn't completely shut off until we're running the new system on it. And so that'll take probably 3 months is what they're saying to release.
I noticed that on the letter from Colorado Networks for their portion of it, they don't really itemize.
They didn't really itemize. They're kind of a support system that they're probably gonna only be on site for a week.
Okay,
And just kind of start getting the hardware in and different things like that. For Mountain Peaks and what we do with all the programming and transferring. They're here for a week and then they're pretty much
okay.
gone.
I guess I'm just making sure that you're comfortable with what they're providing as part of their part of the contract. That because they didn't give us any kind of
No, and
itemization.
the Axiom will probably have a hand in it.
I see.
There'll probably be a little bit of different things on what they want on the entire town system too, that when we've had conversations with them in the past, that they wanted to be involved in.
Okay.
I don't think they're gonna quote much, but they're gonna probably have input once we really get going.
Okay, it's just that, you know, the Mountain Peak says we don't handle any of that stuff. And the other, then we didn't end up getting any kind of itemized list, so,
From,
right,
that was just an email.
yeah.
6,000.
Yeah, but that's new equipment that they're bringing in, new hardware, we're not talking refurbished, whatever, blah, 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 it's brand spanking new.
Oh, yes.
So do we anticipate, well, I could have said something else, guys, you know me. Do you anticipate any extra costs from Axiom in their involvement in this? Or is that
I
just
think
part
they're
of the
gonna be
service that they?
support on different things that what's probably happening here at town hall, they probably all want the network to be kind of the same, even though my two are satellites and not quite as tied into town hall, that they might not have as much, but just so that it's all in the same system. I don't anticipate more.
This may seem like overkill, but do we have contracts with these two organizations for the equipment and the software and everything that they're supplying that gives us some kind of peace of mind as far as their security measures too, their internal measures? You know, that they're covering their own people because they're providing a secure opportunity for us. You know, it's only as good as the guy that says, hey, I know how to get into Georgetown's water system. Seriously,
No.
you know, I mean, that's where we live now, guys, you know?
So I
So,
guess I had a question, if we had separate contracts for the two separate companies, or is, Colorado Networks operating under Mountain Peak Control's contract, do you know?
They're under Mount Peaks.
Okay,
That's just their little additional portion that they didn't know what they were gonna sell for them. They were waiting that sell on their end.
okay.
Mount Peaks is leading the entire.
So is it right that instead of 73,810, it's, no, the 73,810 includes the guard networks?
Correct.
The custom workstation on
Right.
Is it just Rick and Russ, or do they got employees?
Rob also.
Yeah, right, now,
you can,
gotta believe that's gotta be, listen, he is out of
The
the
summit. And so he's gonna be where Russ and they're kind of, oh, Russ is getting close to retiring, right, as far as last night.
Because it used to be just, you know, it was a Rick's wife and Russ's wife, that would, yeah, we answered the phone.
Yeah.
So I mean, in terms of it being a tight knit group, it's not like Brown's Hill.
It's not like zone so at all.
Right. So in terms of the security, it's probably a lot better in terms of it's, you know, it's closely held.
So would it be proper to include something in the motion that says contract subject to approval by town attorney and administrator, or what? What do you think?
Sure, we don't have a contract here,
We
all
don't.
it's good.
Right.
And I'm not aware of, or I haven't seen an ongoing contract we have with them.
Okay.
Do we? We've got
I
a
don't think we're on contract with Mount Peaks as that they are our provider.
Right.
Okay.
But I think, I mean, that would be, do we?
I mean, I have to go with it.
I don't think it would.
It's a little unusual just to approve a bill without an underlying,
I got you.
some kind of contractual relationship.
I mean, they do all our net two radio reads. I mean, any of the communication between tank to the water plant, different things like that. Besides just water and wastewater, they do all the radio reads and stuff like that too, for Neptune.
If the previous installation was over 10 years ago, I don't wonder that we don't know what, you know, what their contract looks like. So,
You could do a motion, there's a motion that, and you could add to it, condition on, a base contract to be approved by the administrator and myself.
okay.
So that we got things like insurance and all the things that you have in contracts with an ongoing provider. We should have that with them.
Okay, everybody
agree.
agreeable?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Ryan? Okay. Who would like to?
I'll move to approve the quote from Mountain Peaks Control and the Colorado Networks to upgrade the water and wastewater skater. Upgrades not to exceed $73,810.
With the condition that, under the governing contracts for this work be approved by the town administrator and county.
So
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
And I pretty much know exactly what to add. I've seen those other contracts and you're absolutely right, what they should provide it to. So.
Yeah.
And I've seen other companies put that in their bid
Yeah.
where it's already there. And so I know.
Yeah,
Thanks, Ron.
yeah,
We'll get going for
awesome. Thank you. So next we have Rotary's Epic Day of Service, Mr. Robert Smith.
My name is Robert Smith. I live in town at 2130 Muscovite. I'm here today representing the Clear Creek Rotary. It's actually just to quickly brief you over a couple of minutes. We're dealing with another town board to coordinate. And you'll be happy to hear I'm not here to ask for money or any other kind of support at this time. Okay, so what is this? The Rotary International put out a notice to 700 clubs in the western US that they'd like us to plan an epic day of service, something with major impact. That would include 10,000 Rotarians from 700 clubs and all do it on May 18th throughout the West. So we are, every project, every group is doing their own project. We have talked about it and decided that we want to do the epic Clear Creek County cleanup. Now, countywide. So what have we done so far? We have talked to Parks and Rec, who normally does a cleanup during the summer. And they're gonna move it to the 18th, and we're gonna get the posters down by the event center. We're gonna help with volunteers to steer traffic, maybe a couple people, waiters coming down the creek to pull the bodies out of it, all that good stuff. And in town, Cabin Creek Brewery is gonna give out a little discount coupons to those who take a bag and participate and bring a bag full of trash back. And possibly some other things for the event. We've coordinated with Idaho Springs, who's getting kayakers recruited from the rafting company. So we're gonna kayak down the river, pulling trash and handing people at the sides. They'll also have dumpsters, have also recruited county members to do the same thing, give discount coupons to those who participate. We're gonna do street assignments and all that, so we don't send everybody to Colorado Boulevard. We've got people hitting it all over the place. And so I'm bringing you on that to let you know May 18th will be Epic Clear Creek County Cleanup Day. Sponsored by Rotary, but sponsored by all these other people in the county, so should be a great event.
Okay.
Epic.
Okay,
Epic.
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 Yes.
It'll be huge. What? It'll be huge, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Wonderful. Great idea.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, me too.
Maybe you'll find this in Striking. You could have paddle boarders on the left of the room.
Thanks, Robert.
Oh, we could still be out there on ice. Well, I think we can get off.
Middle of May is. Yeah.
That's right.
So.
All right.
Very good.
So perhaps our new board member could ask the school board and the school to help with this epic day, because school will still be in session, and I know we used to kind of have it Memorial Day weekend years ago.
Actually,
and
we
then,
used to have it Mother's Day weekend.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
and then it got pushed back to June because there were some conflicts with things and
No.
sometimes,
Sometimes.
and it still could, but maybe now that we have this larger body
I will
of
put on my other hat. Yes, I will
participants.
happily pass it along
Okay.
as our In our strategic plan, it is, of our older students, in altruistic endeavor and community support is required for them.
Yes.
So, yeah, so fifth and sixth graders can definitely come out, maybe some fourth graders too.
And their parents. You know?
And their parents,
And their
100%.
We usually help out with some part of the trash pickup. When do we normally have it?
June.
It's second.
Yeah, it's usually,
Yeah.
yeah, it's always, the person always loved it.
Yeah.
Always loves us.
Well, I'll pass it along.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you, Selectman Cooper, for taking that upon yourself.
Okay. Next on our agenda is a public hearing. Mountain Mama's Needful Things, change of location of its hotel and restaurant liquor license from the existing location of 710 6th Street to the new location at 415 Rose Street. So I'm going to go ahead and convene us as the Georgetown Liquor Board. And it is 6:36. And I will let others take over the presentation.
This is sort of a Jen and I, deal. So again, to put together, you've got the application materials. I always look at whether the licensee has control of the premises, such as to allow the sale of liquor. If it's a lease, I always look to make sure the lease is like liquor on the premises, and in this case, they actually own the property, so that solves that problem. And the only other thing I look for, they put in their application, and we check that for completeness and like young guy. Complete. The only other thing we need to make a little record on is there's only two standards for a liquor license. One is the licensee of good moral character, right? And here we have an existing licensee. So
Where is she? Where is she? Show your moral character.
here we have an existing licensee, so that has already been determined because there's an existing license. So the only thing when you have to change the location is the needs and desires of the neighborhood. Now the neighborhood for these liquor licenses is the entire county. And so the only thing I try to do is just make a little record to have the licensee state whether they believe that the needs and desires of the neighborhood are such that it's necessary, or that the needs and desires of the neighborhood would be served by the new location. And kind of in whatever way you want to articulate that is going to be fine, but it's useful to put that on the record. So please just start to maybe why you're moving and why it's a good location to be able to serve people in town for that purpose.
I do think it's necessary, as part of our name is neutral things, so. Our current location, that we're vacating at the end of the month, needs a lot of work, so we have purchased this other building and a lot more room and, what else to say with that, but.
That's fine, that's all.
Yes.
What's the difference in your occupancy? Because I know your new place is obviously bigger.
Yes, it is bigger, it's probably. It's bigger, but yet part of it is gonna be, like a seating area, like a fireplace and couch and stuff, so. We're not gonna have a lot more tables or anything, but you can probably fit roughly twice as much.
Do you see expanding your hours at all?
Yes, yeah.
And so what are you anticipating?
Well, not a lot of nighttime, regular hours, sometimes special events and that, but probably, earlier in the morning. For more of the breakfast crowd than that.
Good luck.
Will your staff be following?
Yes, they're definitely bringing us.
It is.
Very important.
They got a great staff.
Yes.
Is there any changes to the current license structure, or is it just a location change?
It's just a location change.
So your current license support.
Okay, any other questions for Diane? Okay, we have, it's a public hearing, so the public can. Anyone? Yes?
Just for your info, she's moving into the Barnes Vineyard Hall, which in 1868 was the place where Georgetown decided to become a town.
Well,
That's so very great, and so she's coming in to occupy a very special building in our community, and it will be wonderful to see the lights on in it again.
yes, that's really good.
You'll need to plan annual birthday parties then for that, so whatever that, you know,
Are there any grants for renovation that can help them out?
I think it's in January, isn't it?
January, the exterior needed that help, and the exterior is pretty well taken care of, I think. And compared to where she is, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's neat. Congratulations.
yeah, congratulations.
Okay, if there are no, anybody online that we're missing? No, don't see any comments? Okay, then I will go ahead and we have a motion in the, no, what?
We close the hearing, take a motion.
Okay, but we're still convened, if I close the public hearing and we're still
Yeah, the
convened.
hearing is to
Liquor board.
receive the,
Got it, okay, two separate.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will go ahead and close that public hearing, it is 6:42 PM. And there is a suggested motion with several possibilities to fill in the blank in your packet.
I'll make a motion to approve, or I move that the liquor authority of the town of Georgetown approve the change of location for the hotel and restaurant liquor license of Diane Men's, owner of Mountain Mama's Needful Things, to 415 Rose Street in Georgetown, Colorado.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the change of location. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Wonderful, thank you very much. Looking forward to the new location. Yay!
Is there a grand reopening?
You know the date?
Okay.
That can be, I was hoping for.
Okay. Next, we have a memorandum of understanding concerning the decommissioning of the Georgetown Hydro District project. And Jerry's got a staff report.
the staff report is an intro to the CD. As you know, Excel is decommissioning the various facilities. The result from the hydro plant across the street. And that will make some properties available for disposal and there will be permitting likely needed from the county, potentially from the town, right? The suggestion was that we get together with the county and the Store of Georgetown to try to coordinate our efforts around permitting. And I'm sure Cindy will give you more detail, but I was asked to create an MOU that would be the structure for how we would cooperate with the county and with the Store of Georgetown. So I put together this draft, I shared it with Peter Lickman, the county attorney, who said, looks good to him. And also with Cindy, who I think suggested a couple of changes, which I probably haven't made yet, but will get done as a part of this meeting. I think there's some typos. And I left those in so that Lynette could find them. There you go. I do want to point out that, and certainly after you've heard from Cindy, it's a wide ranging discussion. But the structure generally that I put together was, well, the parties need to cooperate with each other and refer permitting requests. When the town gets a permitting request, it shouldn't act or not act on it in isolation, but instead should refer that to the county and the Store of Georgetown for their comments before you would act. And quite likely you'll get comments, and it may result in like conditions on your permit that you might want to impose, or not granting a permit or delaying it, all in the aid of working together. So I've left some time frames blank. I also wasn't sure if Store of Georgetown, when I wrote it, actually has a permitting power, and Cindy's indicated now we really don't, but we may be able to articulate their role better than I have done here. And I kind of left that frankly for this meeting to discuss it. I'm sure that if it looks like it's pretty good, we can be taking motion to approve it with corrections noted, and I'll make plenty of notes during the meeting, and when we get to action time, I can do what I usually do, which is to recommend a motion with some changes, but that for an intro, but I know you want to hear from Cindy, who's got a better grip on the facilities themselves and kind of how this might go down.
Thank you. As you may recall, I have something to do this sitting in a chair. So
The owl is just getting you from the next.
Maybe just kind of stand next to Keith over there and by Amanda. She can get you on.
I can't move around.
That's not really bad. Good there.
As you recall, it was about 6 months ago, the board set up a chartered a hydro team to look into what the impact of the decommissioning are already started. And we just finished our 13th meeting. So I would like to very publicly thank a group of people who have shown up reliably, just incredibly reliably. And, you know, that includes members of our DRC, Bob Hamilton and Betsy Blakesley, and the counties there through Lisa Laban, and Lynette's been there, Rick's been there, HDI's there through Gary Fassell. Brent Ganser has been keeping an eye on FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and what's been filed on all of this. So it really, you know, the hydro team has been active.
Greg Jarvis.
And Greg Jarvis, oh yeah, for Historic District Public Lands, did I forget anybody else? But I have been super impressed. So, no, I didn't catch the things in the MOU. There were a whole group of people around the table this morning who really went after this. But I would like to share the maps really quickly and go a little bit, one after two people, I didn't go forever, but now I knew that the and so you two. And you two, and I guess three. And if you put the title on the bottom, you are looking, all of the yellow belongs to the town of Georgetown. That is all town of Georgetown land. All of the red belongs to Clear Creek County. All of the green belongs to Historic Georgetown, Inc. Towards the bottom of the map, that sort of little purple thing is our reservoir and dam. That belongs to Xcel Energy. You will notice that right below that, the dam is actually at the end of the white line. There's a piece of private property in there. But you will notice that directly below the spillway practically is HDI and the county and the town. I mean, you've got all kinds of folks there. What Xcel actually owns is in the pink. And it is completely sort of surrounded by the rest of us. Ultimately, we would like to have one of these other agencies have what's the pink pieces when Xcel is done and decommissioned. Partially also because, as you noticed, you can see the trails going all over every place. And you can see the Rutherford coming right straight down through that pink. The Rutherford is on an easement. So whoever the property went to would still have a Rutherford trail on it, but it would make far more sense. But in the meantime, what Xcel, the actions they're taking do impact those properties. Also, if you come down, down towards town, up towards town, I guess you would put it because you're going north. See where the water treatment plant is? It's in direct line to whatever happens up above it. So we had an occurrence when they did the penstock, Elbow, when they cut penstock, they went to the county and they got a permit. The permit said they were going to do work on the Ohio Mill site, which they own, that's that little purple. And, you know, it wasn't gonna impact anybody. And they were going to do the work up there on the Ohio Mill site and kind of get them permit. Well, that's not exactly what happened. This is what happened. The Ohio Mill site, you got a close up of what's down there, and the Ohio Mill site is the yellow block down below. And the Ohio Mill site, the actual dam sort of goes through the middle of the Ohio Mill site. But where the elbow actually sat and sits is Clear Creek County's property. And where all of the riprap sits is historic Georgetown property. And neither of those agencies was in any way aware that the permit given by the county was going to impact their properties. I spoke to the attorney to the county and said, does that create an illegal trespass? And he looked at me and he said he wasn't going to answer that question. But he said it's a good question. But that's, so you can see where the penstock elbow really is. Now, the other part of this is that anything that happens there has a fairly direct impact, and Ryan has been on top of it, but has a really direct impact on our water plant. So after this experience, we all started saying, look, how about if none of us issue permits or easements? Because while HGI does not do permits, it could do a temporary construction easement. I mean, it's a property owner. It could do a temporary construction easement or something like that. But none of us issue anything without at least getting together with the rest of us and saying, where is this truly going to end up? And what is it truly going to impact for us? So there, by the thing that you have in front of you, which is a memorandum of understanding. And my understanding from Jerry is that, and actually from the county also, this is not a memorandum of agreement. It doesn't have that level. It's an understanding. It's just a promise to each other, really, that we will get into contact. One of the reasons that we wanted it very formally addressed is one of the things we will do is we will file all of this with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, so that they know that we're present and we're present in this whole discussion, and that we're watching, and that they also understand what our goals are for that whole region, because ultimately a lot of the decision making will fall to FERC because they are the permit agency. The next permit that Excel is going to seek, they're going to want to do a bypass and take the creek out of running through the reservoir and bypass the whole creek, the whole reservoir. So they'll be starting a bypass. They probably will start on the Ohio Mill site. They've already contacted the county. I presume to talk about the use of the right-of-way, that red line that goes down through is the county's right-of-way for the Gwinnett Pass Road. So they will want they have to use part of that right-of-way for their bypass. They're bypassing the whole reservoir. My question is, where does the bypass end? Yeah, where does it go? Because it doesn't stay in the right-of-way. So to get a permit for the right-of-way, we need to understand a whole bunch more. That will require, the bypass will require a watershed permit from the town. So you have a couple of permitted kind of things that we want to be able to have a coordinated approach to. So actually, this memorandum says the agencies will collaborate with each other and coordinate their approaches. There are things in it. The time limits are left out. I can I can tell you a couple of the corrections we'd like to have, if you'd like to look at your copies of this. Now's the time, page 1, bottom paragraph. 4th line up. It says that they dedicated their adjacent properties to development of low impact recreation and what it really needs to say, and natural and cultural resource protection. Leave out the word environment. Just strike the word environment and end that sentence with natural and cultural resource protection. And on that same line, get rid of the capital and popular.
Got it?
On the next page in H, Excel intends to decommission within the next 2 to 5 years. On the top page, 2 to 5 years.
Okay.
On the next page, page 3, Town of Georgetown, the time limit of what has happened already is when Excel called the county picked up their telephone, called the town immediately and said, Excel has setting up a time with us to talk about permit. But it says within, and the Hydro Task Force felt 5 working days was reasonable. But it's 5 working days. So if they call you on Friday, you don't count Saturday and Sunday. I don't know why not. Everybody works anyway. But that's, yeah.
It's true.
And the small, Roman numeral 3, the small 3, again, you're within 5 working days. And under Clear Creek County, you are,
Can I ask you something?
yeah,
Why don't you say weekdays?
working days.
Well, people work on a Saturday and Sunday.
Business days? That's why I said working days, so you could leave Saturday and Sunday out.
Right.
Because only some people work on Saturday or Sunday.
Okay, all right.
You and me. And most of the people sitting around here. But the county does. And the county is a big partner here. But that's why we say working. Under Clear Creek County, the first small Roman numeral,
Romanet. Did you know that those are Romanettes?
Romanettes.
Like rocket.
Instead of some small Roman numeral, you can actually, I learned this lately. And I'm trying,
well, I got it, yes.
I'm trying to make sure,
The light.
because it really helps.
It does.
It stays, when you call them Romanettes, because they're little guys.
Romanettes, so they are.
They're wannabes.
That doesn't work for me, that becomes a curve thing somewhere. Anyway, under Romanettes, it would say 5 working days, but that line says county instead of town,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Cross town and put county. You've got 5 working days under Romanes 3. And the same is true on page 4 for Romanes 1 and Romanes 3. The other thing that will change is the rest of it is, wait, there was something. There was something. There's a place that parties is misspelled.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's in the rolling under C.
It's Romanet one.
What? On page 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so I missed that. The signature blocks will change because the county is going to, has their county manager signing, it's not their,
Cindy, is there anything on Romanet 3 under C properly, but no event less than?
It's also 5.
It's also 5.
Sorry.
Okay, fine. It's okay.
But yes, the signature block will change on this for the county. And we will be able to put historic Georgetown on it, and everyone will have an attest to their signature, including historic Georgetown, which will probably ask Jen to attest. It will be Gary Fussell who signs it as a director of historic Georgetown.
Oh, I love that. Cindy, I have a question.
Yeah.
What we mentioned earlier was helpful to me in terms of what George or Georgetown doesn't grant permits would say that they relevant, as you see on the property ownership, grant licenses, easements, other kinds of permissions. And that might be true of the town and the county as well, when you think about it. So it's more than just land use or regulatory permits. And what I'm thinking maybe of doing is on the second page, where we talk about permitting and decommissioning process. Kind of generalize this and say, in order to decommission, and will require various kind of permits along with other actions, such as easements, licenses, and then say collectively, quote, permit requests. So that we have a generalized term that can cover any kind of thing, and then I don't have to keep listing it elsewhere.
Yeah, I think you have a generalized term, that would work, where are you gonna put it?
I'm gonna put it on page 2, number 3A.
Number
Where
three,
the permits required,
yeah,
alternate into, permits required, and after the percent, and the percents, I'll say. They need all these staging area permits from the parties and as well as other actions and approvals, including acknowledgments, easements, licenses,
yeah,
collectively, quote, permit requests.
okay.
That way we're off the race to use that term.
Yes, I get
Okay.
it. That sounds very good.
Okay.
So now this is off topic and not in the discussion, and we would be direct.
I'm curious.
Capital prize, we're just saying, was that the same thing as the capital prize we are next to nice?
The offer is the same, yes.
Okay,
that's why,
so
I was looking at both maps and
I know, right, I think
Right,
it's the
to cut
same on it, and you see at some point along the line, that big red thing
Yeah.
Yeah,
was joined A to B under the ground.
Really?
But the big red thing was sold to the county open space.
Right.
got it. Thank you for clarifying. I did not
Okay,
figure out.
but the last piece of that big red thing is the piece that was kept. And that piece is right under the dam.
I see. I am,
So, yeah, it's a complicated mess.
And is that right here,
Yes, you can see it.
where the intake is,
Uh,
or dam?
Yeah,
there?
it's, you should be, yes, you can basically see it on here. Yeah, it says, there,
Right.
that's there, it's coming through here,
Got it.
and the dam's here, so
Yeah.
when they put this penstock elbow, they're either gonna be here, but they happen to come all the way out, this is Excel's map.
Right.
They happen to come all the way out to here, which isn't very far, because the spillway comes down as far as here. So when you're up there visually, you say, oh, it can't be that far.
Thanks.
The ultimate goal, I would repeat, is that we, that some member of the historic district public lands group end up with the, lands that run up the valley. And hopefully, Historic Georgetown has indicated an interest in the powerhouse. And that we have several other, I will be back when there are memorandums of agreement, with the State Historic Preservation Office. Because that is a historic hydro district inside a national landmark district. And they're having an obvious adverse effect. They are required by law, the federal agency is required to provide mitigation for that impact. And so we are telling them they could mitigate it by giving us land to protect our historic trails and giving the powerhouse to protect the use of that, well, to protect the building itself and the use of that building in town and, and hopefully make it a beacon for revitalizing the downtown. Are there any other ones?
Any questions for Cindy? Thank you very much.
Yeah, please, tell me what.
I'll move to approve the MOU concerning the decommissioning of the Georgetown Hydro District project.
As amended.
With the, with corrections as noted. Perfect.
Okay. Been moved and seconded to approve the MOU with corrections noted. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
And anybody who's interested is welcome to add another meeting to the agenda and come visit with the hydro team. Yes. Yes, interesting.
Thanks, and thanks, Cindy.
Run that, run that.
Roll that.
All right, our next item on our agenda is a design review commission appointment. And Keith Crozig has been proposed as an alternate member and he has expressed interest. And he's here with us tonight, so go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
My name is Keith Crosby, and I just moved to town in June, but I've been coming here since like, 2019, I said 1919. And I've been doing some stuff for Lloyd, and I've just fallen in love with this town, and there was just one little point in the middle of the pandemic, I'm like, why am I not living here? So, this past year, I've been moving all my stuff to this town. And I come with a lot of experience in residential design. I've been doing residential design in Atlanta for about 30 years now. And I just want to be able to offer my specialties and skills in the industry to the Design Review Commission, because I feel like I want to be able to, the reason why I came here, I want to be able to protect. So, I look forward to the opportunity, and you all look like a really great bunch of people to work with. You're much better than the city of Atlanta.
All right, anybody have any questions for me? Okay, well, thank you for expressing the interest and welcome to town and.
I'll make a motion to approve Keith Rosa to fill the alternate role on the design review committee.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this appointment. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you very much.
Right,
All right.
and welcome. No opposed. Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
That keeps asking me if I've been chased out of town yet.
No. We don't do that. So, all right. Next, we have ordinance number 2, series 2024, and this is a public hearing and second reading. Special use created for outdoor events, an ordinance amending the Georgetown Municipal Code permit certain activities as a special use in the historic mixed use zone district.
Yeah, so, we've seen this before, but I just want to reiterate, I guess for Amanda's sake.
I was gonna say I'll probably abstain since it's second reading, but yes, because I want to get caught.
Yeah, so we don't have, well, before this, we did not have any category that would allow a kind of regular use for outdoor event. And so the only appropriate thing to do in this case was to include it under the special use, but add a new category number 10. And so that's what we're adding, and definition would include outdoor events by hotels, eating and drinking establishments, and other commercial properties in their respective outdoor areas that have sufficient space and facilities appropriate to the outdoor event. And so our other means beside this was a temporary use permit. But in this situation, there's certain businesses that want to do a regular use of this, and, it didn't fit the category, so this is why it's before you. So it's a new category under the special use.
Any comments from the public?
You gonna open?
Oh, yep, we sure are. Thank you. Keep me on track. It is 7:10 p.m. Open public hearing, and are there any comments from the public? Anything online? No. Okay, seeing no public comment, we'll go ahead and close it, and it's still 7:10. And, okay, board discussion. Any further discussion from the board on this? Okay, was pretty straightforward. Anything? Okay, and
Sorry,
go ahead.
I make a motion?
Well,
Or is there a second? No,
so there's no requirement for Amanda to abstain from the vote.
no, this is legislative.
Correct,
It's
there's
not
not.
presidential, so
Okay,
if you feel you're informed on it,
it's pretty straightforward.
it's pretty straightforward, then, I encourage you to vote.
All right, then I will. Okay.
All right, I move to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2, series 2024.
I'll second it.
Okay, been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 2, series 2024 on second reading. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Woo-hoo. Okay. Next, we have the added item of, next steps for the police department.
So what we have here is, just a summary of what the next steps. And, I was directed in order to speak to let me get it, KRW, I always get it wrong. KRW Associates, they are a recruiting firm. And they specialize in, law enforcement, especially executives, chief positions. And so, I was confirmed by speaking to CML, which is the Colorado Municipal League, and, asking them, who they recommend for us to reach out for this specialty, and none other than the same group that we've worked with in the past. So Mark Collins is the guy that you guys are familiar with, and, they are the best in the state for this specific category. And so, what you have before you, is, an example of a proposal that was given to, the
City of
Powell, City of Powell, thank you, Wyoming. And, they just went through their proposal to hire a chief of police. And I kind of walked you just some bullet points of what to expect from this. They would initially have a meeting with me or the board, and since I think it'd be appropriate with the board, because under our charter, the board is the one who makes the decision to hire the police chief. In other municipalities, as the administrator, but, and so this, I changed it here to reflect that. But you would have a meeting with you guys to understand expectations. They would create a profile so that they would be trying to find exactly what your guys' expectations is. And, you know, we are a small town on that. And so we have specific needs that we're looking for and requests of community policing mentality, not something that works in Denver, but we're different. So we would communicate those specific things. They would do all the background checks. They would do a national search. They would screen the candidates. They would actually rank them and tier them as high meets most of our expectations and then down. They would set up the screening to make sure they select the best candidates. Typically it's about 10. Then they present the 10 commandments through paper with you. You guys would narrow it down to, you know, a handful of semi-finalists, interview them, and then you could do another interview for a finalist list, but they would control that with the decisions that you would want to do with this. And so all of that would be for $19,500. And then they would set parameters of how long this would be posted for, you know, when you're doing the search, the national search, usually it's 30 days, but again, you would determine that. And, so that's what you directed me to do. I got the information, though, what you have in your packet is for a different municipality, it would be the exact same thing, and then they would create a profile for us if we choose to go down that path with them. So that's what you have. Any questions?
Yes, are there any things that we need to do before we hire a new town marshal to, like, for example, are we gonna have a police commission? Are we gonna have, because I think it's set up right now with the town, the territorial charter, right? Do we need to, as a board act, to put something else in place, to better supervise that position in that department?
Yes, I think there's some amendments that Jerry and I can work on to bring back to you. Some of the things that we've noticed in other discussions. Bring back some of the suggestions before, you agree on it.
I think that might be something that we have to address before we are even setting up the parameters, I would think.
Conceivably, you could do it in, sorry.
You know, I was gonna say, I agree with him, because I think we've seen the pitfalls of when when it's independent. I think it really needs to be governed by the board of selectmen, or at least the town administrators.
I like that they're a Colorado firm, and so that they're really going to have their thumb on the pulse of the concerns that the state of Colorado and the municipalities and the counties are dealing with here. And not New York's problems, or Florida's problems, or Texas problems, whatever. They're all issues that they've got, they've got the pulse of things. I think with their background, because so many municipalities are set up differently, and some will have, like a police commission, police fire commission, they perhaps could bring some of that to the table to us to review. I mean, so it's not where we're reinventing the wheel, though
We can kind of do.
It's plus Jerry to put.
I think that's what you were looking at.
And that could be part of the package. Yeah, exactly. So when they meet with us and we're determining what those parameters are, those are some of the things that we want right up front, and to be able to review before that meeting, so we can dive into that and build it. I'm hesitant to delay this process any longer. And for our own acting marshal, we need to support our police department. For our community, we need to support our police department. And I think we can do that quickly.
Concurrently.
But exactly. And if they're the experts, and they seem to have that in their resume, they should be able to bring some of that to our attention.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it up.
No, I think it's a
So
great idea.
So it's all.
I think it ought to be.
Not that report.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we ought to make that known to these folks.
Oh, yeah, and it may alter their contract a little bit. My guess is it probably won't. They should be able to pull that out of their back pocket. Or then we ought to be looking for a new firm,
Have you heard of these guys?
Well, these are the guys, though, that did our own board retreat.
Same guys, that's right.
So we've had that, and I think, if you look at their list, and we could certainly, impose upon Rick to make some phone calls too, if we wanted that extra, piece of faith. There's a heck of a lot of Colorado police departments here that they've dealt with, and we could get, some additional references on them if we wanted to, but I'm not sure that there's really any other firms out there.
Yeah, I went to the top, CML.
And unless we want to go out of state, if we go out of state, it's gonna be more expensive, because then they're gonna have to fly their people in and and we're gonna pay for stuff that we don't have to pay for, because these guys are in our backyard.
Right.
And honestly, they could say, here's your top candidates, and we can go.
Exactly.
Rick, can I ask a question? I know in the past from other recruiting firms, for other job searches, there's some type of guarantee, like, I don't wanna say guarantee, but there's a time frame that if we got to the end of the search and we brought somebody on and they didn't work out, that they would re-up the search for us with no cost.
We can add that to it.
That was,
Yeah,
That's a great point.
we've done that for director searches and the superintendent searches. I'm sorry, I haven't had a chance to read through this, so I don't know if that's in there, but
I think it's the last paragraph.
Warren.
is it in the last paragraph?
They give us a warrant, I'll read it. KRW is confident of their capacity to produce a quality group of candidates and ultimately the selection of the right person for the position. In the event the person selected by the city does not complete at least 12 months in the position due to the performance issues or resigns voluntarily during the period, KRW will complete a follow-up process charging only for travel and related expenses. Which is really a fraction of that.
Well, look at what happened in Aurora. Their guy went back to, and they've gone through several chiefs out there. And now he's back in Texas, doing something else. So, and Boulder is experiencing that kind of turnover. And I think unfortunately that's the reality of it. So, the fact that they're willing to stand behind it for a year, That's helpful.
And I also think that it will actually be helpful to do it in parallel, as Mary points out. There are some things Rich and I have talked about, needing to change, in the code, which, you know, sets up the board as, appointing the marshal as to the charter, but then has the, marshal hiring, employees, but distinguishes that from administrative functions with their financial functions, which is a kind of not, way of handling it, and that was put in the code for reasons that were apparent then, and that was 10 years ago, but, you know, things have changed. But I'm taking too long to say, I think that the company KRW can help in giving some suggestions, and you'll want to make the changes to the code, kind of in parallel with your work moving forward to a new marshal. And there will be time, because there will be, for you to be able to have whatever ordinance you need to do to change the code, that can be ready simultaneously with the appointment of the new marshal.
Very good.
I have a question as a citizen and a business owner. Since acting Marshal Gaskins is already in the position and has all the experience and knows the town, isn't there a way where you can appoint him as the new town marshal without having to go through all this other hiring and of new candidates and stuff?
You know, that is one option that we looked at, but I think in order to increase our options, we didn't want to have just the one. We're headed towards this recruitment process.
Okay.
And it was a board decision.
But I don't think that,
Town, an awful lot of money to just appoint him as the town marshal.
I don't think that excludes Sergeant Gaskins from being a part of this process. And, you know, to be able to rank yourself amongst your peers, or to be ranked amongst your peers, and be that person that's selected, if he chooses to pursue this, that's not stopping that opportunity from happening. And then we know, as the board and for our community, that we've got the best person here, you know? So.
One of the other things I think we ought to do is, whatever distance we put from that horrific occurrence ought to be documented, professional, and trackable, so that people cannot refute that we did not cross our T's and dot our I's from that moment on.
Yeah.
Well, I don't wanna rush through this, but I want us to get started, like now, like tomorrow morning, first thing. We need to get dates set and extra meetings going, because our community and our police department need a little oomph. That's an official term, oomph.
Any other discussion on this? Okay,
So I'll move to approve KRW Associates to start the recruitment and selection process for a new marshal not to exceed $19,500.
Second.
okay. Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay. We're adding another item.
Yeah, Mayor of the board, I apologize, at the approval of the agenda, I thought I had my list, and I had completely forgotten we had the resignation agreement from Officer Tim Collins, and the board needs to approve that resignation agreement. So what I'd like to do is ask you to take a motion to amend the agenda for the purpose of considering the Tim Collins resignation agreement. Take that motion, and if it passes, then I'll have a motion for you to accept the resignation. So someone can move to amend the agenda, further amend the agenda to add item number 9, Collins resignation. I would appreciate it.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to further amend the agenda to add, Jared, should I abstain since I?
You can amend the agenda, but I'll have you abstain. please.
I'm staying. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to further amend the agenda to, for the resignation of Officer Collins.
I'm sorry, I did not get who moved or seconded.
I moved.
I second
Thanks.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for doing this to you. We do have a resignation agreement signed by Officer Collins. And similar to the prior resignation agreement, you approve, a proper motion would be to approve a voluntary resignation agreement with Officer Tim Collins and authorize the police judge to execute the same.
So. Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Aye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your indulgence. I won't let it happen again. I might.
So, okay, we're on to staff items now, and we have a report from Commercial Gaskets.
Stand over the.
that's good, that's good.
You're right, X.
Otherwise, we get your belt.
Well, first off, I'll apologize for any emails. You guys may have seen me. It was not me. Summarizing what's in the report, real quick. There's been an uptick in calls over the past 2 weeks. There was a drug-related arrest, warrant arrest, and there was a significant allegation made that's currently under investigation. I won't go too much into that, but it involves someone going into someone else's residence, sticking a gun to their head, and making some threats and making some overt attempts toward those threats. Which is under investigation at this point, so it's early. Moving right along with the assistant position, she's getting settled in. I'm moving forward with setting her up with some of the systems, some of the programs, and she's in the work for the OSN, which will allow her access to additional systems. And then she'll really be moving along with the duties that we've prescribed. And then from there, we can figure out how this position, can be adjusted and fine tuned. I'm gonna move into another topic, which is not part of the report. It came pretty quick. I wrote the report. I hadn't finished, basically a rough draft of an operational plan for the upcoming, events, pond hockey. So, normally for an event this size, for an operational plan, it takes about 12 to 18 months. Or more than 3 weeks. And with our current resources, I've taken the event plan and I've shared it with the sheriff's office. And I've shared it, and it's also been shared with Idaho Springs PD so that everybody knows what's going on. And if something happens, they're familiar with the plan and where things take place, and they can respond more quickly, more efficiently. But with an ops plan, we look for, in this case, potential road closures such as 22nd Street. And we have a potential public safety closure. If we have 5,000 to 8,000 people, I don't know how they're gonna show up. I don't know if it's gonna be that number, how it's gonna look, but if they're all milling around in the roadway and we have cars going back and forth, it's obviously not good. And we're gonna have to make some adjustments, which we had a meeting earlier, and planned for this. Also, there's closures for emergency vehicles should there be a significant occurrence. So we can stage emergency vehicles and get help and equipment out wherever it's needed. We also have, I'm hoping the fire department's gonna stage additional personnel here at Station 4, so they can respond more quickly as opposed to from Dumont or Idaho Springs area. I haven't heard where we're at on that yet, so hopefully, fire chief is willing to do that for us. Then there's an intelligence gathering
component to any ops plan, especially with an event like this. This is a soft target location, meaning there's very little security. And so it's at higher risk for some sort of attack. So, I've got something in place. I don't have everything in place that I would have had I had more notice and been able to really delve into that component of the ops plan. But I do have something in place that hopefully is gonna be adequate. I do have Empire, Police Department coming over to assist. I'm in communications with the Rangers and hopefully I can contract with them so that they can send, 2 to 4, individuals up to assist with it as well. And so I'm hoping that's gonna be enough to, satisfy any security issues or needs and to serve the crowd. And so, and we'll be using, I'll be using, basically CSLE, 2 channel for the ops. And then everybody still monitors that channel. So it's a dedicated channel for the event, which is monitored by all law enforcement, and they can respond should something go over the radio that's going on. And so that's kind of where I'm at with the ops plan. And of course, we don't know what's gonna happen on this side of town. How many people are gonna filter over here? We kind of planned for closures on this side as well, so where we can better keep traffic moving into this side of town and out of town without it becoming too congested to where it can't move emergency vehicles or it becomes a hazard for the crowd. So that's kind of where I'm at on the ops plan. Does anybody have any questions about how that's going to work?
Parking, I mean, that sounds like an awful lot of cars.
So parking is, these guys have assured us, that they're experts at how parking is working. They're gonna have, parking attendants that have done this year after year after year for 15 years. And so they've assured us that they can put cars in specific locations, maintain an open area of travel, and that there is not gonna be any congested areas, that they're gonna be able to move those cars freely and keep it fluid. So that's what I have.
Okay.
And I trust them to do that.
What are the times of the event? I saw them.
8 to 10, 8 AM to 10 PM.
24 hours.
Well, I just saw them moving the big lights, and I know some of my neighbors they've already stopped John on the road, wanting to know what the plan was.
Yeah.
And stroke them.
Yeah, I don't know if this law is going on or anything, but,
Regarding your ops plan and not taking away from, I appreciate the efforts that you put in such a short period of time, and and we all know that this just kind of landed in our laps in the last 3 weeks. So it's not as if we had the heads up on it. But have you been in touch with Summit County and your colleagues there? Because they've obviously addressed the same issues that you're concerned about for us. And been able to, and we don't need to know those details, but you also have that as a resource to see what, we're taking a lot of what the event plan was that was going to happen in Dillon or Summit and bringing it here and tweaking it for Georgetown and Clear Creek County. And so have you been able to, I don't know if you've even had time to do that
I
yet.
have not. My phone does not stop at all hours. My day is packed. I really have no time to much squeeze in anything. I mean, our dad called me today and said, hey, can you go pick up a wanted individual? I haven't had time to do it. That's how busy it's been. That would be one of the components or one of the aspects of the intelligence gathering is going to a venue who's supported this and hosted this and have them tell me how it's worked. But one of the issues would be they have far more resources, law enforcement, than we do here. And I'm thinking, as of right now, what I'm sure of is there's 3 of us to work this event.
I
And then
understand the numbers,
hopefully
but they're still gonna be able to provide, and I feel strongly about this, obviously. They're still gonna be able to provide some basic information from past events, and every year it can change, and every day it can change, and Friday can be smooth, and Saturday can be a cluster. We know that. But to me, it's worth finding that 5 minutes.
Well, it's on my agenda.
Okay.
I just haven't,
Okay.
it hasn't made it through.
Okay.
Tomorrow's a day I have to go and I've got something to do. with one of our vehicles in the metro, but which will leave me a lot of time to make these calls.
Okay.
And so I've dedicated tomorrow to making a lot of calls, to kind of, get to where I need to be on information and satisfy at least, that aspect, so, yeah.
This group, though, the one thing I will say to pacify everybody, in some respects, they're super, like, they know they are not like the organizers, the Colorado hockey organizers, and that doesn't detract from the incredible job you have to do, but like for the parking and things, they came in with like super high detail plans. They've got shuttles, they've got private EMS.
That's what, that was gonna be my question, because a large athletic event,
They
over 3
they've
days,
got their.
and it's hockey, there's probably gonna
They
be
have
at least a few.
The blood's gonna be on your patio window.
Oh,
On
yeah.
the rink right outside.
You have a really good view.
I'm gonna have Yes,
I mean, there's so much
okay,
that you have.
but
to
I'm
do
glad to hear
now.
they have
But I
private
think that
EMS.
like from some of the pitfalls that we normally deal with during events, like people parking in stupid spots during Christmas market, blocking streets, or some of the stuff that the fires that you sometimes have to put out, I'm hopeful that they're gonna be out of it and that will alleviate that stress for you a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. They're gonna come in with signage, and they know where to put the signage. Where their attendants need to be, and how the traffic is gonna flow, and how they're gonna get everything. I mean, they told me that they can put tires on a specific location with every vehicle, so I'm not worried about parking. And so, I'm worried about some other things, and I need to focus my attention on those, items, and hopefully this event is smooth and as we hope and we suspect it will be.
And I'll just also clarify, part of the parking, it's gonna be interesting, we're gonna learn a lot after this event, okay? However, we're doing the best we can in order to try to predict certain things. Kurt Sukup has allowed us to use his whole 5-acre lot. And so they've gone through, graded, moved stones, they've combed off where valves are exposed. So all that, they're gonna have lighting in the entire time. They will have parking attendants there, parking everyone, just like when you go to like a football game. You don't really have a choice where to park. They tell you where to park, and that's exactly what's gonna happen. Once they fill that, then they'll move to, the event parking lot. And then we'll have overflow into, where the helicopter pad is. So we've got spaces there. So those will overflow if we need them. If we need more, we have, the Georgetown Loop parking lot also reserved for us. So we're not planning to use it, but we're gonna use it if we need it, and then we'll have shuttles going back and forth. And then if we need to do that, we're gonna reach out to some other places like Easter Sales. So we'll have plenty of places where we can park and get people back and forth, but that's just, they're gonna have crews, even on Argentine, guiding people in. We'll have our message sign, telling people what's going on and, slow down, heavy traffic and things like that, so.
Did anyone ever get in touch with CDOT?
No,
That one thing.
not yet.
Is CCMRD providing the shuttles like they do some other
They-
events with those vans?
They're providing the shuttles, but not the drivers. And so if anyone wants to volunteer,
Well, I just have a question, you're gonna use, the one heliport that you got there, Fight for Life, you're gonna use for parking?
No,
We're not
No.
So it's gonna be to the right of the pad, and they'll still be able to drive in and.
and all of the lake too, we have that. And we know that we have the ice driver, so we're gonna reserve the last parking area for them, but the rest of it will have parking for them. So we have spent a lot of time thinking through it, and we've had many, eyes and everything to discuss it, so I feel like we're definitely on top of it with this group, who are here, like, we have all the signage, we have all the people, we have, they have 16 radios of volunteers around, and I'll be part of it, Kasia will be part of it, Craig will be part of it, so we're gonna be on duty the entire time. But we do need volunteers, and so if you guys are willing, we'd love to have you there.
I don't know if I want to drive a 15-passenger van.
You mean have a bunch of drunken hockey players? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
you're looking
directed some traffic or whatever, but.
I drove for the YMCA summer camp. I can take hockey players, so not a big deal.
Oh, one other thing too, just to address this, I brought it up because others had asked me about, but hockey and fighting, they seem to kind of go together. There's a zero tolerance for this.
Right.
And if they are fighting, their whole team gets eliminated immediately. So there's a zero, and then out of 15 years, they've never had a fight. So they prep them, these are people returning to these events, but they prep them even in the registration, they let them know that there's this, we don't do that here.
It's sold out in 20 minutes, the team registration.
300 teams, 6 on each team,
300 teams.
1,800 people, just players,
Wow.
not counting family members,
Wow.
spectators. Yeah,
And the shuttles are gonna be moving people, from the sounds of it, into the historic district as well, so that there'll be people, opportunities for people to shop and
yes.
dine and.
That's just a little snapshot.
Your schedule, time.
So not- Not to take away from the bond,
When does the show get here? Can they pick them up?
That's just, Joe. She's not here, but ask her, Joe.
Yeah, those details will be worked out.
not to take away from the excitement of pond hockey, but back to John's report, I think it's important for us as a board to focus on the capabilities of this one man and what he's able to do for our department and for our community right now. And I had asked him after our last meeting if he could, just give us a few numbers on how many calls he's able to handle and how many times we're calling in the county or, outside, mutual aid from all, other departments or whatever. And so I think we just need to be, cognizant of that as we go through these next couple of months, because we know it's not gonna be like overnight, back in Shangri-La. So, so kudos to you for holding down the fort for us, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting how much stuff you have to do.
Well, it's not, I try to put the most interesting.
It's not a quiet little hamlet like you thought.
But you got a great story, and it's like, oh, my gossip, but still. It's like, great story.
I have to go to the gratitude sentence.
Oh, yes, thank you.
very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, we're on to yours, Rick.
Actually, I'm gonna let Jorge should do first.
Oh, okay, yes.
Hello, everyone. So, we're gonna talk about EAP later, so we'll come back to that, but, I think a lot of you don't really know what my role is just yet. We've been kind of working on it. It just passed 3 months this year as assistant administrator, so, the bulk of my work is planning. So I serve as the staff support for our DRC and also our planning commission. So, been working with the DRC on processing any applicants, vetting their projects, making sure that they meet all of our land use code before they're presented to the DRC, and then making sure that the guidelines are also being met to an extent ahead of time. The DRC gets to make the ultimate decision on that, of course. I'm also helping them research adding some streetscape guidelines to our book, and recently attended a Saving Places conference where I learned a little bit about historic preservation and the value of that. Also working with the DRC on monitoring our historic buildings for demolition by neglect issues. So reaching out to those people and the kinds of problems they need to address in order to preserve those buildings. For the Planning Commission, we recently had 4 people join as alternates and then also a new member, Bruce. So we had a training recently for that. So thank you, Jerry, for hosting that. It was very educational for me as well as them. We are going to be looking at the comprehensive plan just to review it so that they have a better idea of what it is, since we have so many new members, and then also be addressing things that we've already dealt with and things we want to add to the comprehensive plan. So those kinds of discussions will be happening. We'll be coming before you guys with specific things that you have information on as well. So keep an eye out for that in the future. The Business Promotion Commission has also directed me to look into common outdoor dining areas. Like for Idaho Springs, where they're allowed to consume alcohol outdoors. We think that that might be a really cool thing for Georgetown to have. So I'll be presenting to the BPC specific language on that kind of ordinance, and then it'll come before you guys once they settle on something. As far as planning goes, outside of those 2 commissions, I also work with applicants on building permits and helping them get through that process. There's also a really wonderful chart that Mike Davenport and I believe Jerry worked on about the process for the building permits. There's a lot of confusion in the community about what the process looks like for different projects, so that's something I'm working on. The 7th Street Bridge is a project that's been handed to me, I'm really excited about, so I'll be doing some requests for proposals for that. Scooters obtained a quote for material on that, and so you'll be seeing a bid soon. And then, of course, the pond hockey tournament, I've been helping out with building permits for the temporary structures, and then also picking up little projects like building maps, including parking information downtown, helping John and Rick and Jess decide on street closures, things like that. So
Yeah.
that's what I've been up to.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions for Taylor? Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Keisha. First is, I feel like when I get into my office usually every day, I have, emails and then phone calls, and I'm going through them, and there's always complaints. It's like, sometimes I wanna call myself the chief complaint officer, because, I deal with a lot of them, and some of them are, dealing with street repairs and issues, or snowplow, or lack of snow plowing, but they're always something. It could be, noise ordinance, or violation, or dark sky violations, there's always something. But this past week, I actually had some compliments, and I was just like, what is that? I'm not used to that. But, people actually called to actually, compliment some of our people. And, Ryan got a compliment of just how polite and good he's been with residents, especially over.
Ryan?
I know, Ryan is
Ryan?
right. But just, there's how grateful they were of how professional he was working with them and how it was able to resolve the situation. And they were compelled to call to say, I wanted him to be recognized. So John Gaskins got one. So it's like, I'm kind of surprised to hear it. Oh, no.
Well, was that an email that was possibly hacked and then?
John's hacking us with email. John is wonderful.
Although I lost $20. Just kidding. But yes, he has shown how he's gone above and beyond to provide police coverage. Somebody watched him go and check doors at night, and they wanted to say, that was amazing to see him do that. And so, I see John every day because we debrief on things, and, it's exciting to be able to work with him, so I'm proud.
Have you gone on a rival?
I've been on my own time. Although it's not exciting like it's in Augusta.
There you go, that's.
I've seen a couple things. But I got one from Scooter. Usually people call and complain about something with the roads, but they were actually so grateful. Their street had not been plowed in a long time, but Scooter and his crew went by to plow that and to sand it or salt it, and they didn't know what else to say, except I want the board to hear that we're proud of our staff. So I think it's created this response somehow that people are wanting to call to praise our staff. And so Mary, she helps me constantly. She puts up with everything that I do wrong. But she is steady, and I'm so proud of her all the time of keeping all of us in line in our budgets. And she comes in way early. This past week, she's been in here at like 6:30 in the morning, working on these projects. Okay, maybe 6:45. But she comes in early because she's got so many other things she's working on, taxes and all these other audits, and the checks that we're trying to get together for all these other things. So thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Just, it's been a delight. And I can say something to all of our staff, and Jen, Jen is so patient. I'm amazed at how patient you are working with these details. And, so my job is to make sure I have a good staff, and they are amazing. So I'm so grateful. And I need you to hear that, because they really are my rock. We say 3 weeks. I don't think it's been 3 weeks for this event. I think we're really at 2 weeks. Yeah, and this was landed on our laps. Our response is to be good stewards with what we have and a little time to do this. So I'm excited. I can't believe that they would even want to come to Georgetown, but they have. And Georgetown's ice is rock solid and it's been amazing. But this group is amazing. David and Patrick, they are stand-up guys. They're humble. They are extremely professional. I've been around some events, but this is like top notch. They have a lot of guys and crews, and so it has been exhausting for our staff, to say the least. Kasia and Jess have poured in so much time, staying late, working with these guys, having meeting after meeting after meeting. And it's hard. It really is. To pull off this event in such a short period of time, we all have to say, this is not normal. They're going against our standards, but we're gonna let this happen because we want this, and it's gonna be the rising tide will lift all these boats. And so, I'm grateful that Craig is allowing his Cabin Creek to host this, because we couldn't do it without Craig. He has the facilities, and he is not even gonna be able to meet the demand with alcohol or food. So all the other restaurants are gonna be full too. So we're gonna see all that, and we've tried our best to go personally talk to business owners.
Well,
To tell them to
I talked to
prepare.
Jen about it, literally, I'm downtown, for obvious reasons, but they, there's a Facebook page that is called Schedule Denver Metro Food Trucks. And I walked into a brewery that had a food truck outside, and I asked, did you ever come to Georgetown? And they said, no. And then, but this place will, if you tell them your foot traffic, your fees, your, what you want, what kind of food you want, things like that, they'll come, they'll apparently come. I don't know about Georgetown, but they do flood events, so that's one thing that I forwarded to Jen Jordan that she already knew about.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Our events manager is Jess Jones.
Jen Jordan?
Jess Jones.
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay. But
I just spoke to Jen Jordan about it, because all the posts for this hockey tournament have been from Jen Jordan.
It's not all.
Visit Georgetown is our events and marketing person.
Right.
Jen used to be, but Jess is, and
It's being hit by other, on
Yeah,
other.
we've got-
I mean, it gets shared, but that's
should have gone there.
that's valuable information that our town events and marketing person
Really on that.
has to have, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll pass it on to me too. I think that's-
Yeah, no, I'll give you the address. It's a Facebook. Literally, you tell them what kind of event you want. Christmas market for being one of them. And they, people respond and they'll either say,
These guys are bringing a couple of food trucks with them.
Yeah.
I think they've got 6 different, or at least 4
Yeah.
different food providers in addition to the restaurant. One Scooters is gonna be down there helping too, so they're bringing in food. So we are getting our own local, restaurants to help out down there and do their own stuff, and so.
Yeah, but to say the least, we've put a lot of hours into this, our staff has, and to the point where they're tired. And we still have 3 days that we're all gonna be on call or involved. I know me and Jess are gonna be the point people, we're gonna rotate because we're gonna be tired and it's all day. And so, but I'm thankful, this is too exciting for our town, it's gonna be a major economic boost for all of us. And,
Good
we're,
thing Monday's a holiday then.
I know.
Hey, take Monday off, why don't you?
So, but there's a lot of other details ironed out, and I know John, me and Kasia and Jess also talked about the downtown plan of using the Christmas market plan that we did of how we're not gonna block off the streets yet, but we'll be positioned to if there's so many cars that we'll have, so we'll be prepared for that. And if you have questions, John and I will always be in contact. I'll have a radio with the other team, so we'll be able to do things, but I'm really looking forward to this. I think something's gonna go wrong. It's just going to, and we're gonna find things that we could have done this better next year. However, I think it's a great start, and we're gonna see how our towns can be able to respond to things like this. Because if we do really well with this, he's coming back. And then he also does 50 other events during the year. And he's already talking about coming and bringing some of those other events to Georgetown. So I think that we're gonna see a fantastic partnership out of this.
It's called the Recess Group, right?
Yeah.
Recess Factory. Recess Factory. Yes.
Yeah. So they're also gonna leave the Zamboni when they leave. And we're gonna be able to use that to create some other venues for winter, and they're gonna leave some lights. So they're wanting to build with us too. So I think it's one of these, they need us and we need them, but I think it's gonna be great. But that's the big highlight on the race. You got my report. I know our staff are all busy doing things, but I want to highlight that.
Question, you move, my business, we move kids and people all the time, but you're gonna use volunteers with MRD vans? Like, what kind of liability are you taking on there? Insurance?
Yeah, we're gonna contact Source tomorrow morning just to work out
To
that.
make sure everybody has licenses and.
Yeah.
And CCMRD handles a lot of that too, just because they're the provider for the van, so they're.
I know that they have, but if there's a incident, then we're gonna be named. So,
Yeah.
Because we got more money than they do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to call for tomorrow morning. And you know, we're kind of, it's conditional upon how, Sursa communicates back to us. So they may come back and say, nope.
That's, yeah, and that's their business, so they, yeah, very good.
But yeah, we're prepared, we're trying to be prepared for that. If we have to pull it, we'll pull it. But we're trying to provide a service to get people downtown. Because that's,
I thought they had people that, I remember, but that could be from another conversation. I remember somebody saying they had people, they had something, you not remember that?
There was so much conversation about shuttles, but I don't think that was necessarily the transportation that they were discussing.
True.
That's what we wanted to hear.
yes,
But that's not what they were talking, they were talking about getting their people from other locations or
yeah,
far out parking to their event, not the event to our other locations.
Yeah, but our stuff, it's one of our biggest liabilities is transportation. So we have to do a lot of training, background, all that, so.
thanks for that.
Thanks for putting a pin in that bubble, buddy.
I've had the training, so I guess.
Yeah, I had to drive Sunday. Like, I volunteered to drive for a little bit on Sunday. So.
I think they're looking Friday and Saturday. So thanks.
Anything more on your?
No, that's all.
Okay, did you want to say anything about the I-70 emergency weather procedure?
Yes, so Kasia and I have been working on that. I'm gonna let Kasia just give you a brief summary, because I know we have a lot of other things to talk about, but can you give us a brief summary where we're at?
Yeah, so we had a closure on Martin Luther King Day because there was, I-70 closed, we had an excess of people that were in town. So John and Rick made the call to close our exit. And we wanted to create a plan to be prepared for that in the future so we can facilitate more people in town. There were some concerns from business owners about shutting off traffic coming into town. So some concerns we have are traffic clogging roadways and preventing emergency access, overburdening public safety and emergency services, and then limited accommodations in town. So I'm creating a plan right now. We're creating a plan to have staff and volunteers available in certain locations to direct traffic so that we're not blocking roads. We're creating an emergency brochure and then also a location on our website that people can access via QR code with information about where they can park, information about places to eat, hotels they can stay at, stuff like that, to get people circulating through the town as much as we can. There's gonna be people that wanna stay as close to the highway as possible, but we're trying to push people as much as we can. So we're building a volunteer list so that we know who we can access in such an emergency. Ideally, we're gonna have staff involved, but we won't all necessarily be available to take calls. So we wanna have a volunteer list available as well. And then we have a list of lodging and restaurant owners that we can contact so that they can become available to accommodate any extra people that are in town when they're not expecting it. Some supplies, we're getting our best flashlights, and then we have radios as well, but making sure that we have a way to contact each other in case cell towers are down for some reason. And yeah, so I'm working on a formal document that I will present to all of you, as well as a map with different information on it, so you'll have that available if we need it.
When
When we, yes.
So that is one where Kasia and I and Jess are exclusively working hard on. And then we're getting John to give feedback on things like this. We want John to be mobile so he can do his job and not just be in one place. I can be at a place and triaging where to get, send people. However, the next plan will be a snow removal plan. If we get a snow apocalypse here, what do we do? So that will be our next plan, which was one of our, goals from the strategic plan is to create that. So that'll be our next one. And then we'll like to do a fire mitigation plan too, if something were to happen. How are we gonna respond? I know that the county's working on one, but we can start one and then get the feedback from the county to make it what it should be. So those are 3 plans that at least we'll have on the shelf to pull of saying, let's go. We'll be ready for this kind of thing. So any other questions?
Any other matters from the board? Okay.
Wayne's got the motion.
I move to go into executive session on the CRS 24-6/402 for BE and F with the town attorney, and town administrator, the appropriate staff to receive legal advice and instruct negotiators concerning pending litigation, capital prize lines, and for a personal matter, Acting Marshal John Jaskins. I further move to reconvene the open meeting and conclusion of the executive session for the purpose of taking any action deemed necessary.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to go into executive session. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Give us about 5 minutes or so to switch over.